everybody. Welcome back to another Travelscope Travel Tuesday. I'm Dayvee Sutton. You can find this live streaming on daily-affair.com and also on lorimacbrown.com. And you can join our conversation every week, Tuesday at noon Eastern Standard Time or 9 a.m. Western or Pacific. Hello, Rusty from the New Year. But I'm Dayvee Sutton at Dayvee Sutton on all social media, alongside Lori Brown. How are you doing?
I am awesome. How are you guys doing today?
Good. And we have a special guest, another Atlanta travel writer and blogger, Caroline Eubanks. Hi, Caroline.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Okay, so tell us a little bit about the things that you do, which is a lot. So I'm going to let you do your kind of rundown of what you get into every day.
I stay pretty busy. I have 2 travel blogs that I run. One's called Caroline in the City, and it's about millennial travel. Now that we use that buzzword, before I would have just said travel for younger people. And I also run This Is My South, which is a travel guide just to the southern United States. And I also freelance all over the place. So
yeah, a lot of stuff. And we're going to talk about today a little bit of millennial travel. But first on the deck, Lori, I went to Beach Mountain off a blog that you wrote because I had never been skiing before. I know I always say it's like the stereotype, like black people don't ski, but they do ski, and it was always in my intention. But it's the same reason I say why I've never been to San Francisco and I grew up in Los Angeles. It's that I thought I was just eventually I'll get there, right? So I made the intention. I was going to do something. I usually do something right at the beginning of the new year, and then I hadn't really made plans this year. And then I saw Lori's blog post. She reposted. She actually revived it, right? It was something that you posted a while ago, which is a smart tactic for us bloggers. So I drove up to Beach Mountain and had the time of my life. They were one of the few people who had snow.
I was going to ask, did you actually see snow? Because earlier in the week before you left, it was in the 60s and rain, sunshine, tornadoes, you name it.
Right. They did have complications. In fact, they intended for me to snow on Saturday and they couldn't make that happen. They actually had to pump in the snow, which is some knowledge that I actually had from you, Lori. You said that they're probably gonna have to pump in the snow for you guys. It was all the other slopes like leading up there and just in the southeast region, they were closed. They couldn't handle it. But Beach Mountain, they were able to pump in snow. They said it takes about 32 hours, and those blowers just were running for 32 hours just trying to get enough. And by the time we had our lesson, went to ski school, they had about 12 inches, and it was just a good old time. But it was unfortunate for, I guess, those little tourist ski towns because it was still the holiday, so they had a bunch of visitors kind of cooped up, like, what are we gonna do? And
that's where I was.
Yeah. Oh, you were in the mountains?
Yeah. I was in Boone.
Yeah.
There was nothing to do because none of the slopes over there were open, so people were just bumming around town trying to find something to do.
Right.
That's why they said it was unprecedented. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, skis. Resorts up and down the East Coast were even in Virginia and things like that were shut, and they've never experienced anything like that before. But I guess that's why it's important to pick a place that has more to do than just skiing too.
Right. And so what we did, which those kind of mountain towns, the lifestyle is outdoorsy, so it wasn't a problem for them to recommend a hike to go on, and we had a blast finding a hike.
I was gonna say I saw you hiking.
Yeah, so that's what we did. It was a great little weekend getaway. You know, it took about 5 hours.
Can you hear Dayvee?
Nope.
I think you.
Nope.
Well, Dave, we'll have to get Davey's frozen. She found snow, and then she hasn't thawed out. So, Caroline, where were you? You said you were in.
Yeah, I was visiting my sister in Boone. She lives up there, and so we went camping over New Year's, and it was pretty cold. Not snow cold, apparently, but pretty cold.
Not snow. Well, it was interesting. I actually, one of my contacts in Beach Mountain, she said that they finally actually have real snow on the ground now.
They were able to start yesterday or day before or something.
Yeah. Like winter has finally arrived and stuff. So they were able to blow snow and actually had some stuff. So you know what? I wasn't necessarily planning a trip to go do something like that, but after it being so warm, I think that's one of the things that we're going to do probably relatively soon, because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it's not Christmas.
You need a real winter. It hasn't been winter at all.
I mean, like, I would move back to Florida if I wanted to wear shorts for Christmas. So anyway, but so let me ask you, so you guys did what were people doing, like, in those types of towns without it? You said people were, I mean, was it
they were hiking?
A bar?
Yeah, there were a lot of people in town eating at the restaurants and stuff. I mean, even on a good day, really what there is to do is be outside. So even if you're not skiing, there were a lot of good hikes and stuff. There were a lot of people. We were at Linville Gorge, and they have it's gorgeous over there. They have a big area called Table Rock that apparently part of Last of the Mohicans was filmed there. And so we climbed it to the top of that. So there were a lot of people in the parking lot that day.
I've been there. I've been there before. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I have to ask you before we segue here, how was skis? What did you think of skiing?
It was very fun. I think once you're on the skis, so like I recommend you take a lesson. And what's funny, they said that there are people that come every day and they're like, you want to take a lesson? And they're like, nah, we got it. I don't know why you won't, especially if you go during the weekdays to this particular resort. They have lessons for free. So take the lesson. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Like at Beach Mountain. Go ahead.
I've never taken a lesson. And I grew up learning to ski in Gatlinburg, and then my husband took me out to Tahoe. Of course, I went down to my hiney pretty much because I couldn't see the bottom of the hill they took me on. So maybe that's part of it. But it took us, I was miserable after the first time, and we went to the bar and had a couple drinks. That was my ski school. So
it's a good
it
one.
works. You loosen up. I mean, but I'm intrigued to actually take a real ski school.
I mean, well, really, because I think part of the daunting thing, and then I do get into a little conversation about like people of color not going skiing, that, you know, thinking it's just a white kind of sport. And it was really white out there, I'll say. We were the little chocolate drops on the
snow. And there was
no snow. Right. And I get into conversation about that. In fact, I'm going to write up something for Matador. They asked me to write, something, and it's going to be a little more humorous. But they kind of get you. We did like some silly little drills: 1 foot on the ski and then slide around a circle, another foot on the ski, and the basics of like how to stop and how to climb. And then they kind of just let you go on the bunny slopes, and then you kind of feel more confident. But the funniest thing of all to me was that, you know, you don't move at all, and then you go a little bit on the bunny slopes, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm really doing it. I'm really doing it. Then you see some little 4-year-old zoom past you. But the best thing is, you know me, I record everything. So I'm like, oh, I'm sliding down the hill. I looked like grandma. That's what I looked like.
Nothing like letting kids show you up.
Right, but I looked at the video because I was like, oh, I'm sliding down the hill. No, you weren't. You were not. I was like hunched over and I looked like grandma because, you know, I have like my big snow stuff on. It's hilarious, and I'll definitely will share it with you guys. I'm gonna write it up.
I gotta see that. Right. I gotta see.
And hi, Alex. We'll get to your question really soon. But yeah, we'll finish this conversation.
Well, you know, the thing I've been seeing a lot online lately is this situation that's happening in travel with the real IDs in Homeland Security. Have you guys, you know, seen the headlines about that lately? About the, you know, that the extensions are about to terminate on January 10th, and so there's a number of states who have not complied with Homeland Security's requirements for government-issued ID. And while that sounds, you know, bureaucratic red tape, what it does mean is that TSA will not accept those when you go to the airport. So do you guys see this as an issue that will go on? Do you think it's just one of those governmental stancings? Caroline, what do you think's going to go on with this?
I mean, I guess we're pretty lucky. The three of us are in Georgia, which has one of the IDs that we don't have to worry about it. For once, Georgia's on the right path. I was kind of surprised when I heard what states didn't have their IDs in check. I was kind of like, well, need to get on that. I don't know.
I really wonder, I've been seeing all the headlines with it, especially on, the different travel websites and stuff like that, and, saying that they're about to expire. But it's interesting. I went to the Department of Homeland Security's website to look on it, and they have said that even though they're saying that, these can expire January 10th, they're saying that they will ensure that the public has ample notice, at least 120 days before any changes are made that can affect their travel. So I really wonder if this is anything that's truly an issue right now, or if it's just one of those they're, using to get the public going so that states will do what they want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it being one of those things. If you're in one of those states, you kind of forget about it. They're like, oh, we'll give you plenty of time to get a new ID or whatever, and then you forget about it, and then you go to the airport and they won't let you go somewhere. I think that's when it'll really become a problem.
Well, if it ever came to that, I think that the thing that I wonder and stuff with it too, if obviously a lot of us that travel, it wouldn't affect us because we all have passports. And so even if, it wasn't, even if you were from a state who didn't comply with it, if you have a passport, that counts of it. But, not everybody has a passport. And one, it's not easy necessarily these days to get it. And it's not exactly the cheapest either.
It's crazy.
It is expensive. And so at that point, are we going to start having an issue where we are, discriminating against, an underprivileged population, making travel more difficult? Is it, I wonder what this could turn into a lot of political things.
It absolutely could.
So,
I mean, how much is it now to get a passport? I think the last time I got one, it was like $95, and I think at least it's $120, $130, at least that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not cheap by any means.
It's crazy.
So anyway, so it'll be interesting to keep our eyes on this and see what truly happens. But again, it goes back to what I did say is that if you look on Department of Homeland Security's website, they are saying that, again, they will give the public 120 days notice. So it's not anything that anybody needs to go, oh my gosh, I'm flying out
hurry.
January 10th. I've got to get it expedited and stuff. And Desiree is asking, I wonder if these people can get other IDs.
So instead of a driver's license?
Yes. Well, I think it comes back to is they have to have some type of ID that conforms to Department of Homeland Security. And actually they do, TSA accepts other documents other than driver's license, and I'm trying to see if I can pull that up real quick here. So passports, traveler's cards, U.S. military IDs. I don't even know if you have a federally recognized tribal issued photo ID, you're good, and Canadian principal driver's license. So there are other things, although I'm not sure I have any of those. There are other things. Yeah. So anyway, so I want to get to really what we wanted to kind of get in the meat of talking about today. And one of the things that you do specialize in is millennial travel. And that has been all the buzz in our travel world this last year is millennial travel. And, the brands are really wanting to pander to that. But I know I have seen some really interesting things. So I want to kind of throw it to you as the millennial expert. What can you tell us what exactly, I think you said it earlier, what is millennial travel? And
I mean, you can define it a bunch of different ways, but really it's marketing to the younger generations. I mean, a lot of people have said different age ranges, or if you were born between these dates and these dates, but really it's just like younger people with different priorities than maybe older generations have in traveling. They are willing to spend more money on experiences and want to share about it. And, they're not necessarily waiting until they retire. They're kind of going for broke. They'll just spend all their money and go on the trip and figure it out when they get back. And, it's just totally different set of priorities.
when I think of it, it's more like the experiences. Do you guys ever watch travel videos from on YouTube? Like some of the YouTube influencers. One of my favorites is Damon and Joe. And they are the key, like they just graduated from college and they pair up and they just go and kind of do it the millennial way, if you would, whatever that means. And it's kind of like they're just going for the experience. But there's another factor is that millennials don't have that disposable budget. So they kind of show you hostels aren't as scary, you know, how to pick the right hostel. And I think that's why they're, it's the combination of what you said, Caroline, is like they're going now. But then they're also going for the experience is the priority. So that's what I think of.
So Desiree actually had put a link on here to an article on Skift.
I have it pulled up too.
Yeah, you pulled it up.
Millennial travel spending is all about selective splurging. And I think it's actually saying, you know, kind of like what we talked about, it's saying that they were cash strapped. And I think they're kind of putting a spin on it, saying, you know, it's not necessarily that they're cash strapped per se, but they will splurge on, you know, the right things. And so that kind of brings me to this question, because I think we've seen and heard so many different things of what millennial travel is. What is important, you know, as these places are trying to pander to millennial, and I keep doing that because I am so tired of I'm so tired of these companies and stuff. We're millennial travel, and I'm like, you know, and I don't even think that they truly understand what they're, you know, what does it mean? They haven't defined it. I think that they're doing these, you know, buzzwords, and I don't know that they've truly embraced what it is. Caroline, in what you write towards and stuff, what does it mean? Like, what is it looking for? How has it changed travel? And if you could say somebody that's really gotten what millennial travel, well, give us some examples of destinations or travel brands that have really gotten that well.
For me, it's the option of spending more if you want to. And this is something that the low-cost carrier airlines have been doing for years, is you don't want to pay a lot, but then if you want a nice seat, you pay a little extra more. Hotels are adapting this model as well. And one of the brands I really think does well with this is Ace Hotels. They have a couple in, I think, LA, New York, Palm Springs. They're expanding right now. But they have both the nice designy, like hip rooms that you'll find at the W and all these other places, but they also have small rooms and bunk bed options and things for, you can still get the experience of the design hotel and, like, you know, all the amenities, but you don't necessarily have to pay the same price, or you can split it with a friend. And they're also very hip on social media and stuff. And I think their New York property has, their lobby is kind of like a co-working space, which is obviously a big thing for millennial travelers as well, being able to work from anywhere. So they're one of my favorites for millennial travel at the moment. I think, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I think the connectivity is a big deal too. So not charging for Wi-Fi is a huge deal. And having maybe a hashtag for your brand, or there's some tour companies now that have started doing hashtags for each of their tours. So Kentucky has always been a kind of youth travel tour company, but I saw in their most recent catalog, each one of their tours that they offer, they've created a hashtag for. So when you're on that tour, let's say you're doing, you know, the best of Italy, it would be like hashtag Kentucky best of Italy or something like that. And I think that's a big deal for being able to share with your friends back home, like, hey, this is a trip that I'm doing that you could also do. Here's the hashtag I'm using if you want to follow along. It's being able to replicate that to your friends and the people you influence.
I was going to ask if they also, like, does a part of millennial travel definitely has to be the experiences around the destination as well. For example, I would imagine a place like Hilton Head would have a hard time trying to, you know, their marketing team would have to go into overdrive to try to kind of change the draw, not just being 60 and up.
Right. And I would say, like, I think of cruise ships as having a hard time with that as well, is that millennials don't always want to do what everyone else is doing. You want to have your experience be different than the people that are traveling with you. So, you know, if I want to go, I don't know, bebopping around Mexico, but the cruise is only there for a day, that might not be a good fit for me. It's the flexibility that's hard to find in some of these destinations or on these different experiences.
Well, and I think the way I read things too is, you know, authenticity is really where we're going. Key with things too is truly being immersed in a destination, getting away from the resort as the destination, you know, which is where I think we, you know, so much of things had been is you went for this place and, you know, they wanted you to stay there and, you know, for these places to evolve. And Alex Daly, thanks so much. We'll see you next time.
Right,
thanks. But you know, that's it. Is really trying to find the authenticity of where you are at, and everywhere has their authentic environment. It's just learning to find that and market that appropriately. You know, so. Caroline, have you had any? I know I've had a few, but I'm really intrigued since you really write towards. Have you had some that have missed the mark and you don't necessarily have to say who, but what were, give us some examples of those that missed the mark and how and why.
I mean, I see more that just aren't acknowledging millennials at all. Like just are like, well, we know who we sell to and we're just not even going to try. Like there's a lot of that just kind of ignores millennials as a whole instead of trying to adapt to this huge generation of people that are spending money on trips. But I guess it was a conference in maybe April or May or something. And there was a travel agency. They do package tours and mostly the Caribbean, I think. And they were doing a presentation on how to market to millennial travelers. And they were saying, oh, you know, we see a lot of millennials wanting to book these package tours with us. And I was kind of thinking, well, I mean, you may, but I don't think so. And they were talking about different words, like using words like YOLO. And I mean, that was the best. I took a picture of the screen because I was like, you're using YOLO in your presentation. And yeah, the idea is there. Like you only live once, you only travel once, like go ahead and go now. I get that. But I think they were just going for the buzzword of YOLO and that made me laugh a lot.
Right. Their research told them YOLO is it.
They're like, the survey says that, you know, millennials love YOLO.
Right. Dayvee, have you had any situations in your travels like that where people have thought they understood it but didn't quite?
Oh, sure. I think all the time. I think I told you, and I have no problem saying the destination recently with Indonesia, and they took us to 3 days of temples, and we were like, and we had to kind of tap them on their shoulder. It was like, a temple or two is good, but people come to Bali for the beach and shopping for $3 pants. So
temple fatigue.
Right. Well, like I understand where they were coming from, but nobody's coming here to go to temples for 3 days. So that's what we basically say. So we have Desiree here. Yay, Desiree! Yes. Yep. You're awesome.
Yes. And your dog.
I've got the dog barking too.
One of my recent ones, and I'm not going to say it. It was a well-known hotel chain, and I think you guys have actually experienced this one too. But it was, you know, my room looked like a disco.
Yes.
Like I looked like it looked like a nightclub in my room, and they actually had a nightclub in the middle of the hotel, but I mean, not like, I didn't think it was authentic. I really, you know, and I could be wrong. I'm on that cusp. I don't know that. I really don't think I'm, you know, I know the years are off on what's considered a millennial, and I think I'm just above that. But I did not see the authenticity in it, especially in the city that it was located. You know, when I'm looking for it, I just thought, oh, they're trying to be hip. I thought that's what I thought they were going for, is we're going to be hip, but I didn't really think that they grasp the concept very well. And the other thing that I thought is interesting sometimes is the quality of the room and stuff that I was in. I get that, you know, we're trying to create a different environment, but when I know what you would have paid for that, when I've got, you know, when the room looks like somebody did have, you know, a party in it before, I just thought, wow, it's not what I would expect for myself. And I certainly know my friends that are millennials, I just don't, I thought they missed the boat on that, something fierce.
That particular chain does, I think, try to target the younger demographic way. They have the party every night. And it was funny, when I was overseas, there was another hotel chain that wasn't that hotel chain that did the same thing. And it's what I say, it looks great from afar, but don't look too close, because then you'll start seeing stuff you don't want to see, not just the dance, but just like the party that really happened.
Right,
you know?
right. And that's why I was like, to me, that says we don't value you. We don't value enough to truly put the quality into there and stuff. So I just thought it was. Desiree, are you there, honey?
I'm here, and I hope you can hear me. Yeah,
we can hear you.
And the dogs are barking. I think that they are quiet, and then you guys. I don't know if they just heard my name and thought, "Oh, now
them up."
It's kind of like when you have a kid and they don't talk to you until you get on the phone, or you're
like,
something, and
mommy?
then, yes, mommy. Yeah, it's Stewie. It's Stewie. So, have you travel a lot too? Desiree's another travel expert. What has been your perception out there on people getting it or not getting it? Have you had those instances also where you're like, they're just not getting it?
So some companies are right on it, but others no. And I wondered, would you consider, I'm not a millennial, so I don't feel like I'm an expert on this, but Caroline, have you stopped at Yotel in New York City? Have you seen that?
I haven't stayed there, but I know I used to stay at a hotel right near there, and I actually looked at staying there, and I kind of thought it was very expensive for the amount of space you get, but I totally get the vibe that they're going for.
I felt like that was geared more toward millennials. I stayed there over the summer, and it was probably $200 a night. I looked again at the holidays, and it is a small hotel room, but I feel like everything in New York is a small hotel room anyway. But it's very hip and very sort of like the micro unit kind of concept, where the rooms are small, but the shared space is awesome. They have a rooftop bar and restaurant and like a whole lobby area, which their lobby is really not on the main floor. You walk in and you can check in on a couple of computers, and they have this really awesome gadget on the right-hand side where you can check bags or whatever, and they put it in these drawers, and it has like this arm that gets it. It's like go-go gadget arm that pulls out your drawer, gets what's in it, and puts it off to the side. It's just funky. But then, like, I think it's the third floor is actually the lobby area, and there's like free breakfast, free muffins, which is breakfast to me. And then but you can just stop in. I'm like thinking, if I was homeless in New York, I would so hang out on the third floor. It's free Wi-Fi. They've got comfortable chairs, big tables. You could have meetings. It's like you said, it's that kind of, I want access to everything. And I saw lots of, very hip, boom, boom, boom kind of music playing in the background, which to me is like not my thing, but I thought it was interesting.
I think you said something important, which is the amenities. You can have a small room, but having all the access to all the amenities without having to pay more for them is really great.
I thought
Dayvee, I want
to just for you. So I thought their concept is just like near the airport, and you want to pop in. It
had been.
Oh, okay.
Because originally it was in, I think, London at their airport, and I think the downtown New York one was maybe the first or one of the first few that was actually not at one of the airports. Yeah, it's a similar concept.
Okay.
Yeah. Dayvee, I want to ask you a question, and I feel like I can ask you this question. The concept of millennials, is this a white concept, or do you think does it apply to minority travelers? Does it apply to African American travelers? Do you truly think this is a concept across everyone in that generation?
The marketing concept about as a whole as millennials is for everybody in that age group. So it's an age group kind of mentality, and you guys all know that when they come up with these names. It's for market. It's all marketing. It is. I read something at the beginning of last year, and that's what they said. They said, who comes up with these generational terms? It's for marketing. The marketing or public relations industry, so that they know how to pitch towards them. But as far as some of the ideas that Caroline was talking about that would appeal to them, I think it is across the board. Generally, that's what that age group would like. They want to live in the now. They want things that kind of speak their language, and that it's more not just cultural, but it's more kind of like what is going on in society at the time. So we have our gadgets. They want the what I call the faux hoverboards, because they don't hover anywhere. They just roll around. They're segways. They're segways without the handle. But like that age group likes those kind of things. So I think that is valid.
Speaking of, I'm on the air, baby. Speaking of,
there go the dogs again. There go the dogs.
The new, I don't know if you guys saw this, that MTV recently announced they had a moniker for the next generation after millennials. Did you guys hear
that?
what?
Well, I heard
they're
something else last year, but I didn't hear MTV declaring it.
Yes, MTV is declaring them the founders.
Oh, okay. Or
know.
do they know something that we don't know? Like, is the end of the world happening and they will survive?
Robin's right.
I think the concept of what they were trying to say is that that they are going to be the ones to kind of fix things, whereas isn't that great? That they're going to be the ones to kind of start fixing some of the stuff that the rest of us all mucked up.
So should we go ahead and start doing founders travel? Is that the next?
That's what I'm like. So let's go ahead and be on the cusp of what that's going to be. So
Geriatric to me. Founders. I think
Founders.
Right.
maybe founders.
But I heard that's so weird, because I heard that they
Founding
called
fathers.
Robin says founding fathers, but I heard them called Edge last year. So they
that I like.
they called them Edge. They make it all like what I'm saying. Like, I was Generation X, and it's so funny because there are friends who are just like 2 or 3 years younger than me that were once Generation X, and now they call them millennials. They changed the range for them, and they were like, "I'm not a millennial. I'm with you. I know who Snoop Dogg is and all of that stuff." Right? But there, I was like, "Nope, you're a millennial now. You're just an old millennial," because they're like, they said 35-year-olds are millennials now, which is interesting because it's not the 23-year-old millennial.
I think it's also like, I don't know, it's not always age things. Like, obviously the priorities of wanting to travel for fairly cheap but still get a lot of value is something that all age ranges can see, but they've just started marketing it differently.
Go ahead.
I'm seeing that with the baby boomers. I'm seeing a lot more of the baby boomers who actually have the income to travel, doing things like the voluntourism. Wherever they're going, they're spending a week actually working at the mission or teaching at the school, and then a week chilling or RVing and things that you would not think that people who have the income would be choosing to do, but they're just kind of looking for a little more meaning or maybe a change from what they've always done. It's kind of interesting.
Well, I wonder if that's kind of a product of what we've been seeing in media in general. I mean, you think about, we're all barraged by countless ads, and the consumability has just gotten ridiculous. And I know they've even talked about how, Facebook, so many people, it's actually depressing them, the amount of stuff that you see and things like that. So, I wonder if that's, as a society, where we're going, is that we see so much of the consumerism that's in our face more and more, because we have not just the TV screen, we have the first, second, third, fourth, screens. It's on our phones, it's on, whatever. If you have a Kindle, when you launch the Kindle, there's an ad, before you unlock the screen. So maybe, is that where we're kind of going as a society? It's not just millennials, but everybody's looking for things with more meaning, instead of, I guess, the commercialism that we all kind of
and
slid too, I guess, a little bit.
Well, yeah, and I think that's a good segue to kind of get into Alex's question, like best travel hacking. Like we have more access to things now, so we don't rely so much on travel agents, even though, there's great articles out there for the case for travel agents, which they kind of had to find a way to kind of make themselves stay alive. But we have access to this. Stay alive. So let's chat. I'll start with my favorite place where I start for looking for travel deals is I look at skyscanner.com all the time. I like the everywhere option, but there's a certain amount of factors that you have to have. Like, are you open to travel anytime? Like, how flexible is your time to travel, and how flexible is your place, your destination? If you don't care, you can put everywhere, and if you're flexible, you can put best month. So I love skyscanner.com. What about you, Caroline?
I do Skyscanner. I also do Google Flights and Momondo. I kind of compare between all of them to see who has the best deal. But I guess it's like with Skyscanner, you have to be careful with some of them because you might get a good deal, but it's on some kind of shady sounding website that you've never heard of. I don't necessarily want to book if it's going to get canceled and I'm going to lose all my money or something. Like I really want it to find a deal through a reputable company, not like bestflightsontheweb.com.
Yes.
.net,
.com.net, .org.
Yeah.
Lori?
I'm a big fan. I like Google Flights, but I'm going to tell you, I never book through those places.
No.
If I find someone who's running it, I know that they are wanting to deal. So I will actually go to their website. Sometimes they have a better deal on their website, or I call them directly. Again, I'm kind of like you. I don't want to necessarily, you never know where you're getting those through. And it's interesting. I read an article recently when they were talking about the overbooking of hotels and things like that. Because, because you have so many drop-offs, they do tend to overbook them. But the people that they bump, that they send to another hotel down the street and stuff, if they have overbooked, is they tend to go with those people that have booked through the yes. I mean, like if you've done Expedia or something like that, they're saying that you're the ones that are going to be more apt to be booked because they are going to show loyalty to people who are, that book directly with them. So that is the one thing I always do. And I will say that I have found that, at least in my perception, I feel like I'm definitely treated better when I book through, those independent places, they're standalone sites.
What about you, Desiree? Do you have any kind of travel hacking ideas?
I am a lot like Lori, where I'll actually go to the source. I'll call a hotel directly and ask them what kind of special rates they have or what have you. And always at check-in, we'll ask for the upgrade and always get it at no extra charge, unless it's just completely booked. And also with airfare, I go to the calendar because I can normally shift my days back and forth a bit or even by a month, depending on what it is I'm trying to do. But I always go to the fare calendar to see, one day might be $50 less or more. I try not to stay an extra day because it's $50 less, because I forget that whole, oh God, I got to pay too much. I'm like, yeah, but I got, $50 off the airfare.
But I saved.
I know.
Right, that's the trick. But, so I think we all have the same strategy. So I'll just recap it, and I'll also put it in our replay summarized at the end. But we all kind of research through these sites. Like I also use Kayak. I just compare them all. Skyscanner, Google Flights. I'll have to check out Momondo and Kayak, and then we find the deal, and then we go to that vendor directly, call, and then I'll add also the third thing is to ask for the upgrade when you're right there at the counter. So that's awesome. Yeah. Thank you, ladies. This was a fun little chat. Again, I'm Dayvee and Desiree. She's at Desiree Miller on social media, and Caroline at Carrie
CAIR.
Okay. and again, Lori Brown, co-host for this. Thank you all for joining us. We'll do it again next Tuesday at noon. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.